Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. And I know that everyone has had opportunities lately to either peace out or not peace out. That's the cool thing. We don't have to peace out. We don't have to accept the peace that Jesus left, but he left us peace. And it's up to us to say, you know what? I know he left it. I'm going to take advantage of it. Same thing with salvation. Salvation's there whether we ever acknowledge it or not. What God has done, what God has put into place, what Jesus did on the cross, you can't stop it. You can't erase it. You can't make it not be there. And us not believing that it happened, if we don't believe, doesn't make it not happen. It just means we don't reap the benefit. That's kind of the thing with his peace, right? We know he left us his peace and we want to reap that benefit. So that means we've got to peace out whenever and wherever and however we can, right? All right, let's go on. This week, we've been talking about people who went the extra mile to get to Jesus, right? Zacchaeus, who ran ahead, made a plan, ran ahead, climbed a tree, so he just wanted to see him. He wasn't inviting him to dinner. He just wanted to see him, and Jesus walked right up to him, right, and said, let's go to your house for brunch, right? And so he did, and we talked about Moses, who turned aside to see. We explored stories this week of people who went over and above to get to Jesus, to get to God and to hear God and to have God working in their lives. Today we're going to talk about a story out of Mark chapter 10. This is the story of blind Bartimaeus, and it says that he was laying there. He was a beggar because he was blind. That was his job. It wasn't just that he was lazy. He was blind, and back then there was no accessibility available anywhere, right? There was no help. He couldn't work on the computer. He couldn't do anything, because nothing existed that he could even work on. And so his job really was to beg for money, for people to give money. So he was on the road. There was a big crowd coming into Jericho, and it says when Bartimaeus heard that Jesus from Nazareth was nearby, he began to shout out, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And the people said, be quiet, be quiet. But you know what he did? He didn't get quiet. It says, but he only shouted louder, Son of David, have mercy on me. And when Jesus heard him, he stopped and said, bring him here, bring him here. And he said, oh, he's calling for you. So it said he threw aside his coat. And that's very significant because he was wearing a coat that told everyone he was blind. It would be if you see someone with a red tipped cane, you know that they're blind or have issues with sight. They can't see well. So that's that. And there's a certain glasses people wear these days that we know. We can just by watching them, we can know that they're blind. Then they wore a coat that says, I'm blind. You look out for me because I'm blind, right? And it says he got up and he threw aside the coat. Man, such a simple little action, but what a great marker of faith, because he knew he was not going to need that coat again. He was not going to go back to begging. He knew that his life was about to change. It said he threw aside his coat, jumped up, and came to Jesus. And Jesus said, what do you want? The blind man said, I want to see. And he said, go your way. Your faith has healed you. And instantly the blind man could see and follow Jesus down the road. Now, the blind man was determined to see Jesus, quite literally, in every sense of the word, right? And so but the crowd yelled at him and said, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Don't bother Jesus. He's got bigger things to do. But blind Bartimaeus said, you know what? I don't like that you're telling me to be quiet. So if you want me to be quiet, the right thing to do is to be louder. So he began to yell louder to God, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And sometimes life wants us to be quiet about our faith. Life wants us to be quiet about our seeking of God, that we're a God seeker. Life puts pressure on us, and it's not always people necessarily. It's life itself. It's situations. Sometimes it is people. It's in some circles you're not comfortable talking about God, or with some friends maybe you're not comfortable talking about what God's doing in your life or what you want God to do in your life. And so we have situations and circumstances and things in life and things in this world that want us to be quiet. Bartimaeus gives us a really good example right here of what to do when life comes pressing in. When everything is pressing in saying, be quiet, it says, but he yelled louder. He said, no, I'm not going to be quiet. You're not going to talk me out of my healing. You're not going to talk me out of me seeing him literally and figuratively. I'm going to seek Jesus even louder, even stronger, even more openly. I'm going to seek him more because you're trying to get me to quit, right? What if we did that? What if when life tries to silence us, we lift up our souls, and maybe it's not even something really loud, real loud in the real world, but what if our souls got louder when life wanted us to get quiet? What if when life starts pressing in, telling us, back off, don't seek God so hard, don't do so much, don't try so hard, he ain't looking at you, he's got better things to do. What if when those thoughts and those circumstances that start pressing on our soul start trying to get us quiet? What if we rose up and we got louder and we sought God harder? We said, you know what? Everything is coming at me to try to get me to not read my Bible this week. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes and I'm just going to read the Bible for 10 minutes. I don't care. I'm just going to let it open up and just let it fall wherever it goes. I'm just going to read for 10 minutes. Or I'm going to start a Bible reading program, or I'm going to, whatever works for you. All right. What if you got louder with your serving God, your seeking God? And that's not necessarily even out, but inside your soul, inside yourself. What if you said, I know I'm going to change now. I'm going to seek God more. I need to see him in every sense of the word, right? Literally and physically and spiritually. And don't let life quiet our souls. Instead, let our souls just jump in with everything we've got and start pursuing God with more rather than less. Because sometimes when life starts crushing in and we find ourselves in the crucible of life, we back off, we sit down, we get quiet. Some of that's because, oh no, now what do I need to do? And it's okay to adjust. It's okay to say, okay, let me get my thoughts together. Let me get my soul together. Let me see what I'm feeling here and work through these emotions. But then that crucible starts crushing in and it's going to bring out, when we worship God in that moment, when life is saying, shut up, you can't have healing, you can't know Jesus, you can't know God, you don't need to read the word. When life is crushing in and we begin to worship him by reading more, studying more, reaching for him more determined, in a more determined way, then that is the most precious fragrance of worship, when we're in the crucible of life and we're still reaching for him. And this moment when they said, be quiet, it said some of the people yelled at him, be quiet, blind man. You don't deserve Jesus. Be quiet, blind man. You can't see him. You can't even see him. Be quiet, blind man. You're going to disturb him. And he said, nah. He got louder. Let's get louder in our souls, in our seeking of God, in our wanting to know him more, in our looking for his ways in our lives, seeing him operate through us, living in the Spirit more rather than less, because the world is shouting at us that it doesn't want to see that. The world is shouting at us that it doesn't want us to experience God in his fullness. See, the enemy can't make anything Jesus did go away. He can't erase the power of the cross. He can't erase the power of the blood. He can't erase that. He can't make the Prince of Peace take peace back, because Jesus said, I'm leaving it here. He can't erase any of that, but he can sure distract us and tell us to be quiet. That's all a reason to not be distracted. That's all a reason to not be quiet. But just when it starts pressing in, just reach further for God. Reach harder, work harder, press in a little bit more, because that worship is the most precious worship in the world, right? Absolutely. So get louder for God. Don't let those things go. Hold on to him even stronger. Tighten that grip on his word. Tighten that grip on that worship. Tighten that grip on your seeking him, and say, I'm not going to be distracted. I'm not going to be told don't. I'm going to do, right? Absolutely. And that's when we can just peace out, because his peace is still right there. It's always there when we're ready for it. That's why I'm going to peace out. Peace out, you guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday morning.